What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another post-game show here on Mets Central. As the New York Mets take down the Chicago Cubs 7-2 in game 39. Yeah, 39 of the season. Yeah, 39 of the season. Improving their home record, improving their record, getting back on the right track fully now as they took the series against the Diamondbacks before, continuing the winning. We're going to talk about the game. Before we jump into everything, leave a like on your way into the post-game show, or if you're watching on replay, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. But yeah, definitely a nice and easy game for once. There were a couple of points where it got a little worrisome at one point when I saw Edwin Diaz warming up in the ninth inning, and I was saying if Jose Butto is this bad that Edwin Diaz has to come in, then Butto needs to be DFA'd tonight. Some managerial decisions that I just thought were crazy at first, but it ended up working out as always. But yeah, do either of you want to jump in and give your initial thoughts before we break down the game?
Yeah, I thought overall, I thought they played well. This was probably one of the more cleaner games that we've probably seen this year for them. And I mean, I talked about it before on the podcast that we did yesterday where, going to this Cubs series, I talked about where, the offense, because obviously we know that the Cubs are one of the top offenses in baseball, right? Especially with that very good lineup from top to bottom. And I said that if the Mets want to compete with them in the series, one, the pitching has to be really good. And two, the bats have to come and hit. And today, for the most part, pretty much everyone in the lineup did pretty well. I mean, obviously, you love the fact that both LINDOR and SOTO both hit home runs in the game. I think that's the first time this year where both of them had home runs in the game. Pete Alonso had a double down the line. Even Brett Beatty, Brett Beatty and Jeff McNeil chimed in with solo home runs, which we're not the biggest fans of both McNeil and Beatty, but hey, I guess we'll give them credit when they do something good. Acuna didn't get a hit, or maybe I think he did get on base later in the game, but he hit a ball up the middle, and obviously, that forced in 2 runs because of a throwing error. And overall, like I said, with the pitching, Clay Holmes was good. He pitched really 6 strong innings, apart from only giving up a home run to Kyle Tucker. Ryan Stanek looked good out of the bullpen today. Nunez was...
We'll get into all that, yeah.
Nunez was all right for me. There was definitely still a little concern, but definitely cleaner than his first outing out in Arizona. And then Butto, like we said, wasn't great, but he closed it out.
Yeah, this is my first Mets podcast stream, so I'm happy to be here. But yeah, I mean, these guys pretty much nailed everything. I really liked the performance by the Mets today. I was a little concerned with how they played, in that Diamondback series at home last week, and then the St. Louis series. I mean, yeah, one of those games they might have gotten squeezed in the doubleheader, but like overall, the hitting with runners in scoring position was a big issue. It wasn't really a concern tonight because the Mets just hit home runs. What was it? LINDOR, SOTO, Beatty,
and McNeil
all hit home runs. So that's four out of the, what did they score? 7 runs? Yeah, 4 runs out of 7 just came via the home run, and they won the game just from that. But again, the pitching continues to be stellar. If it keeps up like this, this is all it really needs to be. It doesn't need to be lights out. Like if you go back to 2015, like the Mets pitchers needed to go 7 innings and like allow no more than 2 or 3 runs. It doesn't need to be like that. It just needs to get through 5 innings, leave it to the bullpen. There's a lot of guys in there that could get outs. Like Reed Garrett's an option. Stanek, when he's going, he's good. Dedno Nunez, who Evan adores, is a great option when he's going. He got himself into a jam, but then pretty much pitched himself out of it. I mean, Alvarez dropped a pop-up, but then he struck out. Who was that?
Tucker.
He struck out. Yeah, so he was able to recover quite nicely. And that's a good sign, especially considering he's coming back from injury. And that's what I really like to see.
Yeah, so overall, we'll break down inning by inning how this went down. The one thing that I'll say, because, again, I like to admit when, even if I'm wrong, I like to give my thoughts on certain things, certain decisions that happen either before the game or during the game. The thing that I was annoyed about the most is when the lineup dropped and I did not see Mark Vientos in the lineup, because there's no reason to be sitting Mark Vientos for what is now 3 straight days. Obviously, they had the off day, but not playing him for 3 straight days. He ended up pinch hitting later. I don't agree with the decision. I think Mark Vientos needs to be playing. I think you need to really get him in the rhythm because as we saw last year when Mark Vientos was going, this entire offense was just more cohesive with him when he was going. So that's something that I didn't like. But again, it worked out, which we'll talk about. But Clay Holmes in that first inning gets a 1-2-3 inning, picking up a strikeout, gets some groundouts there. The bottom of the first, Francisco Lindor ends up hitting a solo shot to make it 1-0. Unfortunately, the Mets would not capitalize any further there in that first inning as Nimmo had a single, but they would not be able to score him. In the second inning, there was a walk from Pete Crow Armstrong, but a good play by Alvarez to gun him out, trying to steal second base. And then the bottom of the second, Brett Beatty, what looked like a really bad at-bat at first, to be honest with you. And then he ends up hitting a home run to make it a 2-0 game. And then Jeff McNeil, after Acuna grounds out, hits a home run to make it 3-0. I couldn't believe it. Taylor gets a single, but the Mets don't do any further damage. We fast forward to the third here as Clay Holmes allowed a single, gets a double play, allows a walk, gets a line out. So a little bit of trouble there, which drove the pitch count up, but still didn't allow a lot of damage. In the bottom of the third inning, Alonso would ground out to lead things off. Nimmo with a walk. Alvarez gets a single. Beatty with a single. So they get the bases loaded there. And Luis Acuna hits into that force out to make it 5-0. Thanks to the error there, you were able to get 2 runs across the plate in Nimmo and Alvarez. The Mets did not do further damage that inning. And then that's where Tucker hit the home run. Not a good spot for Clay Holmes to leave his sinker right in Tucker's wheelhouse. And 104 off of the bat on that one. But then in the bottom of the fourth inning, Juan Soto would respond with a home run of his own to make it a 6-1 ball game. And go figure, another solo shot from Juan Soto because for whatever reason, he cannot hit home runs, it feels like, with guys on base outside of 1 or 2 of them against the Twins
one against Minnesota.
One against Minnesota. And I forgot to mention, too, speaking of home runs, that Clay Holmes, that home run he allowed to Tucker, the first one he allowed all season. If he's going to allow home runs, be in wins like this. I will definitely say that at the very least. But, yeah, I mean, he was able to do a really good job, had a 1-2-3 inning in the 6th, and I thought it warranted him going out for the 7th inning, but ultimately he didn't. In the bottom of the 6th, the Mets had traffic on the bases, just didn't capitalize. But, yeah, then we saw Stanek come in. I was a little confused. I thought maybe go to Budo for 2 innings, and you know what? Maybe Mendoza was right for not going to Budo for 2 innings because, holy crap, Budo looks terrible. But Stanek, a 1-2-3 inning from him. Denel Nunez, like they were talking about before, worked in trouble, worked a little bit out of it, got that strikeout there on Tucker. He'll rebound. The fastball velo was all over the place, which was very bizarre. And I would like to see that be a little more consistent because at one point he's throwing 98 in on either Nicky Lopez or Ian Happ, and then he's throwing 94 with his fastball. So I'd like to see more consistency there. His slider location was at least better outside of one he hung right over the plate. But, yeah, I mean, the Mets end up tacking on another run. Juan Soto gets an RBI single with a runner in scoring position because Lindor stole the bag before. And then Budo had to make it interesting. The fact that Diaz had the warm-up is just absolutely disgusting. But they got the job done. And, Matt, do you want to give your overall thoughts with Clay Holmes' outing, just breaking it down in terms of the way it went down, the pitch mix, and what you liked?
Yeah, no, Holmes, again, was just, I think, solid all around. And, you know, we keep saying that it looks like every start, it looks like he's getting better and better and better. I would love it eventually if Clay Holmes could take that step to where he's pretty much going 7 innings consistently every start. But if you're giving me, you know, every start, 6 innings, 1 to 2 run ball, and again, like where he's going to be pitching so well, where he's only giving up home runs here and there. Because listen, I mean, he's going to give up home runs here and there. It's at the end of the day, it's the major leagues, and he faced one of the best hitters in the league right now with Kyle Tucker. So overall, he was fine. And I was actually shocked because on Savant right now, looking at his actual pitch breakdown, he threw 52 sinkers, which was a ton. That looks more like the Clay Holmes
With
that
the Yankees.
yeah. The Clay from the Yankees and the guy that we saw in the first start in Houston. But to be credit, like, you know, we talked, one of our complaints earlier in the season about Holmes was, you know, he was throwing his sinker a lot, but that was probably arguably his worst pitch to start the year. But he's gotten better with that pitch from start to start. So listen, if he's going to keep throwing it, and he's going to be good with the sinker. I know he threw that bad one to Tucker, but like I said, it happens. But if he's going to be keep throwing the sinker well, then listen, go what works best for you. And obviously, he threw up the change up a couple times. I remember there was one swing and miss, I think, the end of the inning on a strikeout where it was a beautiful kick change from him. Slider, sweeper again was good. Threw the fastball about 5 times. So overall, I mean, just let me pull up his actual final stat line.
It was 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Yeah. Don't love the walks. Would love to see him maybe limit that a little bit more. Would like maybe see a little more swing and miss stuff and get more than 5 Ks. But overall, I mean, that lowers his ERA down to 2.74, which, if you told me, I mean, listen, me and Evan were both big on Clay Holmes before the start of the year, and we said that's a guy they need to watch out for. But the fact that, we're into this almost midway point of May, and Holmes threw about like 6-7 starts, has a 2.74 ERA, that is just insane to me. Because, like I said, I thought he would be good this year, but I thought, his ERA would be around 3.5. But 2.74 so far to start the season, again, we always give credit to David Stearns and the Mets pitching lab. Well, I mean, they just keep finding gem after gem after gem. It's impressive.
Griffin Canning looks great too so far. What a find that one was. Evan, when you were going through the innings, like the bullpen, how they manage it, you said maybe Mendoza was right. I feel like that's a phrase that we say a lot. Maybe Mendoza was right. And this goes, like, the way he's handled Vientos, like, I trust Mendoza. Like, I know Vientos is struggling right now. I don't want to see him go down to AAA. I think that would be a mistake, especially over Beatty. Like, Beatty, I mean, he was starting to hit the bat a little bit, hit the ball a little bit more before he got sent down, and then he was tearing it up in AAA, and comes back up. It's a home run tonight, gets a base hit, an infield hit. But I think Vientos' season last year should carry a lot more weight and should warrant him to stay up. So, I mean, maybe I agree with him being scratched from the lineup two games in a row, but I don't doubt Mendoza. Remember, last in the playoffs, Alvarez was struggling mightily. And I don't know about you guys, if you thought he should have came out of the lineup then. I definitely was one of those guys that thought he should have came out of the lineup.
It got to a point where I got there. Yeah. There was a point.
Right. Like, and you see how Torrens does, and he's a great defensive catcher, backup catcher. But Alvarez comes out the next day. Mendoza takes him under his wing, and he goes 4 for 4 in the next game, and the Mets win Game 5. But right, like that's what I think Mendoza brings to the table. And too, like, you guys trust David Stearns. I trust him too, obviously. But Carlos Mendoza, I feel like he doesn't get like enough recognition too in that regard.
No, I like Mendy, and overall I probably do trust him. But I think we can both be honest at the same time and say that he's had a shaky start to the season so far, at least with his decision-making.
Yeah, the bullpen for sure.
The bullpen for
sure.
I just don't like with the Vientos thing, the idea that he's platooning essentially now. It's like, this is a guy that was your best hitter in the postseason last year, arguably. And on top of that, I mean, it looked like all of us were saying it. Maybe the Mets finally have their third baseman. Now you're going to just platoon him after, again, it was a rough month, but one rough month. I mean, Francisco Lindor had a rough first month of last season. I just don't want them to be in a spot where they're going to platoon him. Hopefully he's in the lineup tomorrow at the very least. If not, then I'm going to really be annoyed. But yeah, in terms of just other things that happened throughout this game that it annoyed me, but it didn't. Reed Garrett comes into this game when it's a 6-1 ball game. So why is it that Reed Garrett is all of a sudden available in a 6-1 ball game, but no, they couldn't use him when they were down by 1 run the other night? That to me made absolutely no sense if I'm going to question any decision making from there. But outside of that, I mean, I'm not upset with any other decisions really throughout this game. In the moment, I did want Budo to just throw 2 innings, but obviously that was the right decision because he just does not look right. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, the offense, pretty much everyone did get a hit from the starting 9, which was very nice to see as well. But yeah, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up the show here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not a coincidence that, Starling Marte is not in the lineup for back-to-back games, and they both scored 7 runs in those 2 games.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Which that just means that tomorrow he's going to be batting cleanup.
More of a hot take. I feel like more than an ice cold take. I feel like the Mets need to upgrade some of like the middle of their lineup before they upgrade the starting pitching. Assuming the starting pitching continues this run like this, I think that's going to be a more pressing need for them at the deadline.
The only thing I'll say is that the rotation has reinforcements on the way. Like Manaea is coming, Montas is coming to where.
See, that's where I'm like, do they really need to spend the assets to upgrade starting pitching?
No, it needs to be in the lineup.
It should be in the lineup, right?
And then you're going to have a guy like Griffin Canning moving into the bullpen as a long man.
Ooh, yeah, see? Right? And as the season goes on, Nunez is going to get even better. Like, hopefully his health is...
The thing that I've been saying that's going to be great is that Kranick will go into a 1-inning type of reliever role, which will be better because once Canning's back there and then Budo and Canning could be the multi-inning guys, Kranick has a lot of pressure lifted off of him where he could just be that guy that goes 1 inning, gets some high leverage out. So that's going to be great for Kranick.
They could get McGill back in the bullpen too if they want.
I mean, I'd rather put Peterson in the bullpen.
Yeah, Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson in the bullpen.
I mean,
there's options there. There's options, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter.
I'd rather see my reasoning as long as McGill stays somewhere close to where he was in March, April, because I'm not expecting him to put up like the great numbers that he has been. McGill. But as long as he hasn't fully turned into May McGill and he's a solid, reliable 4 or 5 guy, I'm easily moving Peterson to the bullpen instead, just because we've all seen it. Like Peterson may look good through the first time of the order, but once he gets to the second and third time, that's when the opposing hitters, especially the better teams, they start making harder contact against him, and that's when you start to see the damage be done against him. For me, if you could have Peterson again as another long guy who's only facing the offense once, and we saw it again during the playoffs last year, where especially for the spot starts that Senga was making, Peterson was the guy that was right behind him, and then he would go like 3 or 4 innings. So I think for me, that would be a good role for Peterson. And like I said, as long as McGill doesn't fully revert back to May McGill, like we've seen over the past couple of years, that's how I would do it at least.
Yeah, Peterson's like objectively just been the worst out of the 5 starters or 5-6 starters, whatever you want to say at this point. But yeah, I think that's really all we have to talk about with this game. So for the post game tomorrow, we're going to try to get someone to do it for us. We were not going to be able to even watch a second of tomorrow's game. So it's either that or tomorrow morning we're going to I'll do the post game tomorrow morning before, or not tomorrow morning, Sunday morning. Yes, Sunday morning. If we can't get someone to do the post game for us, but if not, we'll just skip it. And then worst comes to worst.
Or we could do for the Sunday game, we could just do two post games in one.
Or that, yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Off air stuff. But thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. We'll leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know when we upload. Go check out Ice Cold Takes, Mr. D next to me. And we'll see you guys in the next one.